in Hungary it's like quite highly rated as well to get into psychology. But I stopped to play in the LCS because I thought this is like a one chance opportunity that I have.
Hey everyone, this is Darius from Shotcaller. I'm sitting here with Vizicsacsi from Shotcaller esports. Congrats on that win against Giants. Was that a really key win?
Hey, thank you very much. Yes, I would say it was a really key win because if we lost this game, our playoffs chances were probably like completely gone. So it's important to keep us in the race, but we still have like really tough matches ahead, such as G2 Fnatic and H2K as well.
And H2K, of course, are very close contenders, so if you lose to them, difficult situation.
Yeah, they are actually, I think, the last game we play, maybe, like next week.
Yeah.
So like tomorrow is G2, and yeah, we will see. But like losing a game at this point is just making our situation very tough.
It's pretty lethal for sure. Now, that said though, a lot of people, to an extent, overestimated Schalke by like placing them that you guys would be top 3 and stuff. So just to already reflect a bit on the previous weeks, where of course there was a bit of a losing streak as well. What kind of went wrong with the team, and what at the end of the day did you guys fix for today's match?
I think they originally placed us really high because actually at that point we were like amongst the strongest teams. And played like that, and even in the first weeks we were. It's just that the weeks after something like a bit broke, I think, on stage, that we had like really close games with most of the teams, like the top teams, and we always ended up falling short, and we were the ones losing in like these long, dragged out, 50 minutes long games. So that like got us on a bit of a mental edge, and I think it's just affected the rest of our split. But now I feel like we are climbing our way back. Obviously, we are not like completely out of it, but I just hope it gets like fixed a bit more over time for the next week, and like tomorrow we can step up good against G2 as well.
Right now, this is right after the game, of course, but right now there are 4 teams tied for 6th place, essentially, with 6 wins. Of course, Europeans love their ties, so that's interesting to see. And if Rocket lose and H2K win, we will have a 5-way tie for 6th place. That is really interesting to see.
Yeah, we might have to play a tiebreaker if it comes down to it, or like if more teams are tied. I don't know what's like the official
multiple tiebreakers.
Yeah, maybe multiple tiebreakers. But that's fine. I think like the best team will come out on top eventually, anyways.
Fair enough. Now, you or the Schalke 04 Twitter account put out a tweet last week saying we're really sorry to the fans and this can't keep on. And this loss is essentially on the coaching staff to an extent. We take the blame, it said. What happened since then? Because there weren't any updates.
We just made some stronger regulations within the team, and we also have a new staff member with us who is helping, sports psychologist. So like we have all great staff working behind us. So like it's kind of everything is given for success, and we just need to like step up into it as well as players too.
Okay. 1 second, I just heard a sound from the camera, and sometimes it's awesome. Just in case, you don't want it to be gone or anything. Okay. Okay, so new staff member, sports psychologist. We've seen that happen for a few teams. Unicorns, interestingly enough, brought one in, and then they started winning all of a sudden. So maybe that will be the key to playoffs.
Yeah, because it's like having a person that can, that is like on neither side, so he can just navigate between people and like understand their feelings and like be this diplomatic person that helps everyone. So it's really good to have someone like that in a team.
Okay. Now, some of the criticism you guys have received from the desk, for example, and from casters was that you guys lacked a clear vision or a clear shot calling, clear macro when it comes to the late game. What would you reply to that?
I think, yes, we don't have like a single shot caller in the team. I agree with that, but I don't even think that's like the good system. And what we have, I believe we have good understanding for late game, but the games we lost were mostly because the enemy's team comp was like full late game comp, and it's really hard for us to do anything against that. and I'm thinking about like the Splice game in the first weeks and the G2 game later on. So like we usually get the leads, but we were playing more early game oriented styles, and I think maybe that was a bit problematic for us, since we are so good in like mid game rotations. That's how I felt. And if we play more of these mid game, late game team comps, it's like probably more beneficial on stage, because it's much harder to punish people as everyone is playing more safe, and it's just harder to punish for someone on stage.
And Upset, for example, today put in an amazing performance, all of a sudden going legendary 9-1 and then dying in the last team fight. But that was, of course, the winning team fight, so it worked out at the end.
Yeah, he stepped up huge today, and our team composition kind of revolved around our carries. We just gave them a great front line and some protection with the Morgana. And I think in this case our draft was like really good against what the opposition had as well, with this hard engaging composition that we could just peel off slowly but surely from our carries. So I'm looking towards more drafts like this in the future as well. So we try to counter what the opponent prepares.
What did you think of the matchup against Ruin? Because last time you guys faced, you had a Ruin, the enemy top laner. Because last time you guys faced, I believe you did get solo, or it was a really unfortunate death against Ruin after like a dive. And that was maybe questionable, but like now you've kind of redeemed yourself.
I think last time we played, I was like Camille versus Nar, and it was just farming up from what I remember, but maybe it happened. Yeah, here we just farmed up like 2 top laners, 2 tanks, clashing against each other, farming the side lanes and roaming. But I believe Warren is much better champion than Nar if it comes down to team fighting, so this just benefited me, and I had no pressure on me to do anything rather than just follow him.
He is a contender for Rookie of the Split. Do you think he has any chance, or does Upset have a chance against Shizuku? Let's put it like that.
I think Team Vitality accumulated so many victories and have so many good plays that it's kind of hard to deny them the Rookie of the Split at this point, since we are like on the bottom of the table too. But I don't think that matters too much. It's just like the regular split, and usually playoffs is what counts more.
Going back to the sports psychology question, we've talked, and there were a lot of interviews last week about infrastructure in general, like gaming houses being debated all of a sudden, agents, whether they are useful or not. Now, sports psychologists, just from an outsider's perspective, Spring Split last year, Rockhat brought in a sports psychologist. They went from 1-7 to almost getting to playoffs, and only in the final game they didn't make it at the end of the day. That was like one of the essential turning points. Unicorns brought one in this split. It was the turning point. Misfits had one as well, I believe. So why isn't this a more common thing for teams to pick up? Is it like, do we have that little resources that we can't pay an extra person, or what's the issue here?
I think it's just undervalued, and I personally studied psychology as well before becoming pro player, and I have always valued it really high to have a sports psychologist, and was always voicing it myself that it's important for like the mental preparation and keeping a healthy mental state for the players. And I'm happy to see a bit of rise for it, but I think the main problem is they are actually quite expensive indeed, and it's rather that there's a lot of sports psychologists that are like not really familiar with esports and such. So maybe we need like a few more years so it gets recognized as well. But I would say it's just generally undervalued, and teams think that there is no problem with their players or anything, and that they are in perfect mental state, and the coaches can handle this. So I think that is like the wrong approach that is present at most of the teams.
And you'd recommend those teams get a sports psychologist, or would you put out the recommendation for other teams?
Yeah, I think it should kind of become like a regular thing in teams in the future. But I guess it depends who you hire as well, because there are better and worse ones, obviously. Of course. So who we have is like a really good one. So I don't really know how it works for like other teams, if they tried it out or not.
Now, you just mentioned that you study psychology. Now, psychology needs you, to have a really good school degree, high school diploma. So did you have like a 1.0 high school diploma?
Yeah, I had a good one after high school. In Hungary, it's like quite highly rated as well to get into psychology. But I stopped to play in the LCS because I thought this is like a one chance opportunity that I have. And if I feel like it, I can always go back to study psychology. But like this experience I've had in the past 4 years is of very high value. So I haven't regretted this decision at all.
Yeah, and as you said, you can always go back to it, whereas this is really special, of course. Now, how many semesters of psychology did you study? Like, how far?
2.5 years.
2.5.
Yeah.
And you still stopped to get into?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it like, I guess, yeah, now it's kind of different, but I mean, that was always almost close to a degree then. Like.
Yeah. I needed like half a year to get the degree and then go to the master degree.
Wow, dedication.
Yeah.
What did your parents say at that point? I mean, 2.5 years into it, and then you go, oh, bye.
I was well supported in whatever decision I was making, since it's kind of my life, so I get to decide. And I had a good reason to do it, because I love esports and love League of Legends. So I just wanted to give it a shot.
Very impressive, very, and especially at the time, because like right now, when I look at a decision like that, it makes sense, because players now make proper money essentially. But back then, you probably didn't make all that much. It was a huge gamble in a way.
Yeah, it was kind of a bit of a gamble, but as I said, I could go back to psychology whenever needed. So I felt like it's worth trying. And originally, I actually planned to play like 1 or 2 years in the LCS and go back, but. It just worked out so well that I decided to stick with it. And
then you just happened to be one of the best top laners in EU by accident.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, is there anything you would like to say to the Schalke fans and EU LCS fans out there?
Yeah, I know it's a rough time right now, and we haven't performed that well in the split. But like whatever happens in the split, I think doesn't matter that much anymore, and we will obviously try our best and try to reach playoffs. But I think if that doesn't happen, we will have to just prepare very hard for the summer split, because we are still a really strong team, I feel like, and this roster was built, everyone was really happy with it, and we knew that we have top 3 players from every position. So I'm really hopeful for the future anyways, and I think we can still manage to reach our goal of going towards later on in summer.
Maybe Schalke will be the summer split team of that, and maybe you guys will still reach playoff. That depends on your performance, of course. Well, this was Vizicsacsi from Schalke and Darius from the Shotcaller. I hope you had a good day. See you then. Hey everyone, this is Darius from the Shotcaller, and I hope you just enjoyed that interview. This is a generic end card, so make sure to click here for another interview or here for a different interview. And if you want to check out more content, specifically from the NALCS, make sure to visit theshotcaller.net for more interviews and other esports content. Have a good day.